Okay, everybody, hello. And
Hello.
we are ready for this eclipse, this full moon, which is today. And it's the first of three full moons, three eclipses, two full and one new. And this is a rare occurrence. And it's followed by the fact that as we go further into the month, around the 18th, Mercury will turn retrograde. Then there's a whole bunch of planets that will also turn retrograde. So this month is really quite unusual because three eclipses in a lunar month. It won't happen again till 2029. And there's no saying that it would happen with this many planets in retrograde. Now, what does that mean? Okay. Anything retrograde mean you put RE before it, so rethinking, re-examining, redoing. That's what happens then. But prior to that, beginning right now, today, it's important what message this planetary alignment is giving to us. So as I look at it, it takes place at 15 degrees. And when it's over 30 minutes, because there's 60 degrees in a minute, I take it also to the next number. So I'm looking at 15 degrees and I'm looking at 16 degrees. And I'm putting them together. And it's telling a very fascinating picture in a way. I always combine the Sabian symbol of the planet, of the sun and the moon, you know, when it's happening. But I also add human design. And in human design, a gate has about 6.5 degrees in it. So you have the gate and then you have the Sabian symbol within that gate. So I want to look at the gates first that are holding this energy. And I'm looking at the 15 degrees first. And that gate 35, is ready for something new. And something new and something different. So because a full moon is about releasing and letting go, it's important that if something new and different is coming in, we want to make room for it. So consequently, on full moons, it's always about release. So I tell anybody who knows how to tap to do tapping sessions of releasing all the old thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes that no longer serve you, to be ready for welcoming in the new stuff. Now, that gate, which of course is the gate of the sun, is about welcoming something new. The opposite, because full moons are in opposition, that gate, and this is where it gets very clever, that gate is about universal timing. So what does that mean? Okay, it means that we can't push this new progress, you know, for something new. We have to open that door and be ready and willing for the universal timing to do what it has to do. Now, because this is a full moon, the universal timing is going to clear, first of all, what needs to be cleared and what needs to be released so that that new stuff can come in. Now, the following degree, 16 degrees, all right, is what is coming into play also. And both of these degrees are in the same gate. But let's go to the Sabian symbols and look at it. The key word for this Sabian symbol in the gate of preparing for something new and something different, all right? That key word is clarification. So we want to be clear about what it is we're releasing and making way for what to come in. You're not going to clean out the shoe closet when you're really looking for a wedding gown. All right, that's, doesn't match. So the cleaning out and getting ready for the new has to be in the same category, at least. So the positive part of that is having the self-confidence of spirit to know what it is that you need to release so that this new stuff can come in. And so, as I said, clarification. Let's be clear about what we want to come in and what do we need to let go of in order for that to come in. And when I say let go of, most of the time we're not talking about a specific thing. We're talking about thoughts, beliefs, attitudes. These are things that get in the way. So the cleaning out that we want to do now at this time is making space for this new. Not putting this new in right now, making space for it, and then moving over to the moon, which is in opposition, and which rules the intuition and the emotions. That is the gate of universal timing. All right, so we're going to clean out. We're not going to tell it when it has to do.
Are you recording this? You are recording this, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Go ahead. Excuse me. Just check.
Okay. It's on record, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. We're going to release that now. The moon on the other side.
My microphone is muted, but my video is not.
Okay, somebody needs to mute themselves because it's coming through. Okay, so the gate 5, the key word there is reassurance. Now thinking about this, if the gate itself is universal timing, and if the Sabian symbol is reassurance, okay, then here we're talking about trust. We're talking about trusting and reassuring oneself that the universal timing is going to be the key to bring all this new stuff into play. And right now, it's not about pushing that because this is the full moon, so this is the release. And it's about the right state of mind that we want to be in as this is happening. Then adding to this part is the following degree, because it's moving, it's halfway, over the halfway mark from one degree into the next. So I always like to look at the next one. And if we get in the gate of 35, that Sabian symbol, which is clarification, then the next Sabian symbol is an unswerving determination of what we are putting forth. Now, again, it doesn't mean pushing it. It means really reaffirming what we're letting go of in order to let that new stuff in. That is the sun. Then you move over to the moon, where I said that's in gate 5, and that is the universal timing. And the key word for that is reassurance. And when positive, it is the degree for determining, what you believe in, what you want, what you're putting out there. So then we go to the 16 degrees in that, and it's the gift for recognizing every opportunity. So if you look at this whole picture, in my estimation, it really is on this not only full moon, but this ecliptic full moon, which is emphasizing the energy. And the next two, the next new moon and the next full moon are all going to be eclipses. So eclipses hold a tremendous amount of power, and they last longer. So even when we go into the new moon, we will still be pulling the energy of this full moon simply because it's an eclipse. So it's important in this time that we listen to these things, okay? Ready for something new, all right? An unswerving determination of starting this thing new, but not pushing it, okay? Universal timing. And then being positive about it. So when you're positive about it, then you can relax in that knowingness that you are in that universal timing, and that by letting go of these things that don't work anymore, you are making the room in your life in a positive way for these things to occur. Okay, so then I want to come to the rest of the chart. One of the things that I always look at is if there is a planet aspecting a new or a full moon, it's going to add its power to it. Well, Mars is the planet that is adding its power, as if there isn't enough Martian stuff going on already. And Mars is the planet of courage, energy, and action. It makes love or war. It just is action. So it's at the exact degree. It's 15 degrees Pisces. The sun and moon are 15 Gemini, 15 Sag. So this isn't even making it fit. It's close. And so it's going to be pushing everything that I have just spoke about. Now, what's going to happen, the way that I see it is, for those people who don't have the patience, or if they don't have the maturity to understand, to let things unfold, they're going to charge in and, make more mess than already is. For those who can take a deep breath, take the courage of Mars, if you think of an army, the intelligent general pauses and looks over things for the right time to make that move. But Mars doesn't have that in its nature. It wants to charge in and do things. So looking at this, preparing for something new and knowing human nature, how it wants to rush, and seeing this Mars, I can't stress enough that whatever you do, don't rush. We're coming into this month on the 18th, Mercury will turn retrograde, and then a bunch of other planets are going to turn retrograde. And my advice to everybody is, if you have things that need to be finished or accomplished, especially anything that has to do with contracts or important paperwork, stuff like that, get it all done in this time period, but get it done in a timely manner. Again, don't rush it with something, but don't leave things hanging that need to be finished or accomplished, because when those planets retrograde, the sun and moon never go retrograde. So that leaves 8 planets. There's going to be a few days where 6 of them are going to be retrograde. So it's like, it's almost like everything stops or gets, rearranged, put on the back burner or what have you. So before we get to the Mercury retrograde, if you have anything that you've been putting off, I should have sent out that letter, I never signed that form, I had things to do, like for the church in AHA, there's a yearly thing that you have to send to the state. I went to the bank today to take care of one thing, and just these little things, get them out of the way, you know what I mean? Because those things were not personal to me. They were just things that needed to be taken care of. But in taking care of them, I was sending a message to myself, okay, I'm just moving smoothly forward, taking care of things. So Mars is courage and energy and action. But the one thing you want to guard against is not rushing with Mars, because it does have a tendency to push. Now, if you're the kind of person who drags the feet, then, you know, Mars pushing just may force you into doing something that you've been putting off and should have done and you've been saying you would do and all of that kind of thing. But that would only happen to somebody who is really either a procrastinator or somebody who doesn't want to look at what they need to take action for. The rest of us would be, don't rush, put things in order, get them done, okay? But, you know, don't charge ahead. Now, the other aspect that is going on here is Mars is also making a square to Venus. Now, what does Venus rule? 3 things in astrology. She rules love and affection, love, money, and creativity. So again, Mars wants action, all right? It is a positive thing to express love and caring and stuff like that. But again, you know, love is not about control. And sometimes Mars wants to take control or push issues. So use that Mars energy to enhance your ability to say nice things and make loving statements and tell people that you care about, you know, how you care about them. But don't push somebody that you love into whatever you think that they should do. And that would be the negative side of the Mars. Now, here is a very interesting combination. And probably I would consider it, you know, there's 2 more combinations that I would consider really important. And the first one is the planet Uranus. Uranus is the planet of change and freedom. Now, it takes 84 years to go around the whole zodiac, all right? So any aspect it makes, it can only do it once every 84 years. But at the exact degree, it will do it to the planet, obviously, because the planet, like Mercury, goes around, you know, every year. So once a year, Uranus makes a square to Mercury, but always at a different degree. It can only repeat in 84 years. So right now, Uranus is at 8 degrees, 48 minutes. It's almost 9 degrees of Taurus. And Mercury is 9 degrees of Cancer. So it is in a perfect beneficial angle. Mathematically, it's a sextile. I've called it for years. I call it the mafia offer. It's an offer too good to refuse. So what is this mafia offer that Mercury is making? Well, Mercury is Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. So if Mercury is the mundane mind and communication, Uranus is futuristic. It's ahead of its time. It's this higher octave, all right? So it's telling all of us under this aspect that we shouldn't use our mind on the level that we've been using it, that mundane level. We have to go up a scale with it. And as I said, this is a full moon, which normally, you know, is a short duration. But because it's an eclipse and it's going to be following other eclipses, and these energies are going to all intertwine over this lunar month with these 3 eclipses, it's going to be even more important. And it's going to be that much more important because in the chart of the United States, which I have here somewhere, right? In the chart of the United States, transiting Pluto is making an opposition to Mercury. Now, Pluto takes 266 years. So Pluto has not made an opposition to Mercury in the chart of the United States since it has been a country. Now, Pluto is a very slow planet. Obviously, it takes 266 years to go around. So it goes back and forth for a couple of years at a couple of degrees. So it's already been opposing Mercury in the US chart. Right now, literally right now, it is retrograde at 24 degrees Capricorn. And Mercury in the chart of the United States is 24 degrees Cancer. So it's in exact opposition. So Pluto is forcing the country to let go of its old way of thinking. Now, the planet Pluto, when it aspects a planet in one's chart, it is going to totally change. I think of Pluto as the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly. But the caterpillar has to decide to break out of the cocoon that it's in, that on some level it thinks it's safe in this cocoon. It has to break out in order to fly. Now, the sign of Cancer, the crab, will let you cut off its claw rather than let go of what it's holding. So the country, in its thinking process with that Mercury in Cancer, would, you know, rather cut off its claw than release. I mean, we got our freedom from England or whatever, but we kept a lot of that archaic thought processing alive in this country. And all you have to do, I say to my friends, all you have to do is look at the religions in this country. The Catholics are more Catholic here than they are in Italy or Ireland, for crying out loud. I hear things, and my mother grew up in a convent in Ireland, and she never heard of the things that people said, Catholics said over here, right? We have fanatic Catholics, we have born again Christians. I mean, you name it. They don't just have the religion, they're tied to it. Well, this also is with the political system, which comes under the same avenue in the chart as religion does. So consequently, while everything else is going on, the biggie in this country right now, and it's been going on for, I would say, over a year. Yes, definitely over a year, because it was 23 degrees back in March of last year. So if I allow a degree, it's about a year and a half that it's been doing it, and it's not finished. So right now, literally right now, it is retrograde at 24 degrees, opposing Mercury in the US chart, saying you have to change your old beliefs, your old thinking patterns. It has to change, all right? Now, there's always arguments with the US chart because I use the one that in the history it said they were burning the midnight oil when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So that's the one I use, but there are other people who argue it was different times and what have you. What will change by times are the house positions, and the moon moves a degree every 2 hours. But if it's burning the midnight oil, the one I use probably isn't going to be off by 1 degree, 2 hours back or forth, all right? The houses, it's a different story. But a planet like Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, those planets are at that degree. So Pluto is opposing the Mercury in the US chart, no matter what time they want to put at it being born, for the first time since we've been a country. So while that's happening, today, in this eclipse full moon that I started off discussing, right? Uranus, the planet of change and freedom, is making an offer too good to refuse to Mercury in this ecliptic chart. So what do you think that means? Do you think it means that, I would think that while Pluto is a slow planet going through this process, whenever we have something, you know, like we have right now, this full moon throwing this emphasis on it, I would say that we're in crisis time where, you know, we have to change. And people who, you know, don't want to change or don't want to look at things differently, obviously, you know, they'll have a harder time. Now, that's collectively. Let's leave the collective out of it for a minute, okay? And understand that in our personal lives, these planets are all going to fall somewhere in our chart. Now, if you know your chart and you know Mercury is at 9 degrees Cancer, Uranus is almost 9 degrees Taurus. If you know where these planets are and you know what they rule in the chart, these are the areas that are going to be, you're being given an offer too good to refuse, that type of thing. All right. So, okay, let's say that you are a Taurus, and let's say that your sun or your moon or your ascendant is in Taurus around that degree. You know, it covers so much, because around that degree in Taurus, and then the Mercury at 9 degrees Cancer, people that have, you know, aspects, what's that now? Aspects around that degree are going to feel this, you know, closer. But if you don't know your chart, relax and just listen to the basic. The basic is things are dramatically changing, both universally and personally. The more you hold on to what doesn't work anymore, or, you know, what is, its time is over type of thing, the harder it will be to trust the universe, that the timing is unfolding. And what I say to people is, if you don't have specifics in your life that you know need to be let go of, and so you can welcome in this new. And if you do know how to do tapping, you know, or meditation, anything, any tool that you have, it's about releasing thoughts, beliefs, attitudes that don't serve you anymore, and trusting that the universal timing is opening the door for new things. And the universe is saying, to get those new things, you got to make room in the closet. The closet is packed full. This unconscious is packed full of garbage that you don't need anymore. That's what gets cleaned out. And you do this, and you do the deep breathing, and you release. And as you release it, you get the offer too good to refuse. Okay? You heighten your intellect, your awareness, your communication with your higher self, with spirit. I am ready. I am ready for these wonderful changes. I trust the universe. I know that I'm in the right place at the right time for this to happen. I have the courage of Mars to go forward, not to push, but to be prepared and go forward. So I hope all of this, has helped everybody. What time is it? I don't know how long I have on this, but I'm going to keep talking till I can cover everything. Last but not least, in the astrological aspects, is Jupiter, the great benefactor. Jupiter is retrograde right now. It passed over Pluto, and it got to 27 degrees, and it now has turned retrograde and is going back to this conjunction of Pluto. Now, Jupiter is the great benefactor, and its nature is faith and optimism and abundance, all right? But it also is the planet of expansion. So it can expand positive things, and it can blow out of proportion, negative things. So what I think of when I see that Jupiter's coming back to Pluto, I don't know when, but a number of years ago, I was doing a homily and I was trying to make a point, and it was a Pluto type point. There was a man watching a cocoon rocking as the caterpillar was trying to make the hole big enough to get out of. And this man thought he would help it. So he got his scissors and he clipped the end of it to make the hole bigger so that it could get out. And it plopped out. Now it was transforming into a butterfly. But because he cut the hole and it plopped out, it couldn't fly, because squeezing through the hole that it was making, which only it could do, which means only us can get ourselves out of the cocoon that we're in. By pushing through, it forced the fluid in the body into the wings, and it could fly. But because somebody else cut it off, it could never fly. So Pluto, nobody can help you with Pluto. It's all up to us, the person involved, okay? So I think that Jupiter coming back to the Pluto, to the 24 degrees, and opposing the Mercury in the chart of the United States is going to either give us the courage and faith and optimism, to push forward out of this cocoon that we have created, thinking that we're safe in this cocoon. Now, of course, people are going to look at this collectively, politically, and every other way, right? But it also is in your own personal life. And sometimes I have noticed, people that I know fairly well, and they're like, oh, I'm so upset over, and they're getting bent out of shape over whatever they've heard on the news or whatever. And they have serious things that they need to take care of in their life. And I'm looking at them like, okay, I understand, we have to have compassion for what's going on or what have you. But if you're glued to the television, just watching it over and over again, or, Facebook or whatever, and you're focusing all your attention on something you can't change, you are attracting that energy into yourself. And the best way to do this is to be the best you can be for yourself, because then when you are emanating out, positive energy to others. I mean, this fearful negative energy that's been floating around is hard to not get affected by. But if we keep expanding nothing but negativity, then it's really going to get into our consciousness. Now, this full moon, back to this full moon. This full moon has got the courage and energy of Mars to trust in the timing of the universe, that the positive changes are going to come. Uranus, change, freedom, the higher octave of Mercury. Not the Mercury is looking at the normal stuff, but the bigger picture, okay? The bigger picture. Not just the bigger picture with the world, but your bigger picture. What is your bigger picture? What have you bought into? What are the limitations that you've placed on yourself? Are you ready to let them go? Well, this is what this full moon and this eclipse is about, and the other two eclipses that are going to follow, because they're all going to follow while Pluto is opposing Mercury in the country's chart. So if we think about it like that, then the answer is about us changing our thoughts, our perceptions on the collective picture, but also on the personal picture. I think that, I did write down the Sabian symbol for Mars at 15 degrees Pisces. It is preciseness and ingenuity. Ingenuity. So Mars evidently is not going to just rush in. It's going to be a little different this time. So it's going to have the ingenuity, and in that courage, it's going to help us overcome doubt, because that's the gate that it's in. But 15 degrees is preciseness and 16 degrees is ingenuity. So preciseness, ingenuity, courage to get past the doubt and move forward, not just, both as a country, but also in our own individual lives. Now, I don't know how many questions I can answer, or if I can answer, but if somebody has a specific question, I'll try to answer it. Has anybody got a question? And if you have, then you have to tap on unmuting yourself. Are you still there, Bob?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a question?
I have a question.
Okay, who's this?
This is Carol.
Okay.
With all these retrogrades and stuff going on, retrogrades, so much stuff. If I'm trying to work on health things like dental stuff, which is imminent, there's a lot to do. I'm going to do a little bit right before the retrograde of Mercury, the day before, but I'm really working on healing a whole bunch of body stuff. Plus, I certainly have tons of stuff to let go of, unquestionably, mentally. But can I proceed? Because I kind of have to proceed with my healing stuff, with all these weird planetary eclipses and retrogrades going on.
All right. Okay. So I'm trying to follow you. So what are you actually asking me?
Oh, okay. What I'm trying to ask is, I already have scheduled to do a lot of dental work June 17th. So the day before Mercury goes retrograde. There's more that should follow on its heels, a lot more. And I'm also working on healing issues with my legs and ankles, which is mostly physical therapy and stuff. But with all these things going on, how does that affect the body and healing and making choices to proceed with healing?
Okay. Well, as we all know, our thoughts and emotions affect our physical body. Okay. Now, in times like this, when there's a lot of challenge, most people are not acting as they normally would. So they're being influenced by this outer energy. So depending on one's, individual chart, anything that that is going to cause stress or going to cause anxiety, if it can be postponed till after, I would do that, because it's hard to go to take care of, you know, physical matters when there's a lot of challenging energy, unless you are, you know, really good at calming yourself and being able to, you know, control what you allow in. I mean, I do something every morning called a zip up, where I protect my energy. And so, you know, when you do things like that, it helps. If you have to make important decisions, I would definitely do it before Mercury retrogrades, because what I'm thinking is, with all those other planets going retrograde, you know, there may be, whether you make the decision or not, there could be delays, there could be breakdown of, you know, materials and stuff like that. You know, this is going to be a heavy time with all those planets retrograde. So I would say, if there's things we can take care of prior, then I would do it. If they're out of our control and they're going to be under, you have to go ahead anyway. Under those circumstances, it's really important that you work on your own center, that you get into as calm a place as possible and pull in the harmony. You know, I was saying to somebody the other day that CD packet that I made a number of years ago, Balancing Your Orbit, I said, I'm going to tap on all of these planets, every one of them. I'm going to tap on bringing in the positive energy, because the planets beam this energy onto the earth, and we pick up the positive or negative from it. But the you know, some things are out of our control. I mean, you know, the mess out there is out of our control. The only person that we have 100% control of is ourselves. And if we can get that emotional control, then we will be far better off. So if something can be postponed, I would postpone it. And if it can't, it's really important that you get into that state of trusting the universe unfolding. And if it is delayed, understand that it's delayed for your benefit. That's what I would say with that.
Can I ask you two specific follow-ups on what you just said to me? Because the one is that the dental appointment I have is on the 17th, the day before, the one day before retrograde. So I don't know if that's because it's so close, if that means it's already in the retrograde. And the other question is, aren't a lot of planets going to stay retrograde for how long? So how long would one be waiting to sort of outwait it?
All right. Okay. You know, there's these general interpretations, but if you get bogged down, if you think about it too much, you're going to attract more of that retrograde energy. I would go ahead with whatever you're planning, but trust that the universe is going to take care of it. So if it turns out that it has to be changed or something, know that it's know that it's for your good, whatever you decide to do, and just let it unfold. Don't push it and don't resist it. That's how I would go with it.
Okay, as I could change it, I could do anything. I'd like to start if it's okay. That's all.
Okay.
But
okay. Anybody else got anything?
I just want to say thank you, Kathy, very much. It's Peggy.
Oh, hi, Peggy.
Hi, this is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I have recorded it, so I think Bob is going to probably, you know, put it on our page there. So if you ever needed to listen to it again, you know, if you couldn't remember.
Yeah, we're gonna put it on the ISD YouTube channel.
Right.
One question, Kathy. When are all the planets going retrograde?
I'm sorry, what was that?
When are the planets going retrograde?
Well, I'm going to start with, you know, Mercury is going on the 18th, and then the others are going to follow the next few days. And then there's going to be a couple of days where a lot of them will be retrograde, and then Venus will turn direct. So I would, you know, don't get caught up on the actual days. Just look at the whole half of this month of so many retrogrades. And as I said, don't look at it like, oh my God, you know, just, you know the planets, Peggy. So Neptune is the miracle maker. It's a planet of illusion or illumination. So if you know how to tap, you can tap, or you can meditate, and you put out there, I am attracting the miracle making aspect of Neptune. I'm letting go of all illusion of limitation, you know? And then Pluto is retrograde. I am ready to break out of this cocoon that I have created around myself. All right? And ready to fly, ready to be the butterfly, all right? And then, okay, so it's Pluto, Neptune. Then we go to Uranus. I'm ready for changes that are freeing in nature. And I'm trusting the universe's timing in it. And then you go to Saturn. Okay. Now here's another interesting thing. Saturn, every planet's got two sides. So the negative of Saturn, limitation, restriction, fear, paranoia, okay? But the positive side is wisdom. So, hey, I am ready to attract the wisdom of Saturn. Now, here's another interesting thing. Saturn's going to go retrograde. It's going back into Capricorn, and it's going back to that Pluto. Now, what's going to happen when it gets to Pluto? Is the paranoia going to get magnified? You're not going to let your paranoia get magnified. You're going to say, it's giving me the wisdom to know how to break out of this cocoon that I have created, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, okay? It's up to us to, I mean, I'm sure that if any of my neighbors ever heard me, they'd probably lock me up in the lunatic asylum or something, because I walk around and say, okay, spirit, you know, all right, so I know, blah, 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 give me a break, you know?
Kathy,
But,
interesting. So I have Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter hitting off my T-square.
oh, yes, Peggy.
I'm glad you enjoy that.
Yeah, I can see your chart in my head. But yes, I can. But yeah, yeah, I know. And you know, there's the more you know, the more. What was it I said to somebody? When I have a question for myself, and I ask the universe, because the smarter you are to outsmart yourself. So you think you know, and sometimes you don't. So the best mode is just to say, I'm attracting the wisdom, I'm attracting the faith, the optimism of Jupiter. I am willing to break out of this cocoon that I put myself in, you know? And sometimes you don't know what created this, because we can all come up with logical explanations, you know, and your psychiatrist can come up with some too. But we don't know if it was past life. We don't know if it was my fear of water. I mean, I thought I drowned at sea. And when I did it under hypnosis, it was my birth. Nobody was more amazed than me. And I did the regression myself when I took the training, which my teacher told me was impossible, but I did it anyway. And I put my bathing suit on and figured, did I really do this? I went out, I jumped in the pool. Now, I could swim to the steps as long as nobody got in my way, because I was afraid I'd sink. I jumped in and I started to tread water. It was gone, okay? But I wouldn't have found that if I didn't go the route that I did. But now, since then, that was back in the early 70s, I've gotten so many different tools to get on those levels. And these are the tools that we have to use. And most of you listening are aware of those tools. So, EFT, the emotion code, going down the body, whatever they are. And the statements, I say to myself, even though I have no idea why I created this, I'm ready to release it. So, as long as we're coming from a positive space, we're not going to give the energy to the fear and the negativity of everything that's going on. Okay? You'll do good, Peggy.
I'm good. I'm actually in the middle of a major transformation, so.
Good. I have faith in you. Uh-huh.
Thank you, Kathy. From Italy.
Okay, so I guess we're almost ready to call it a night.
Kathy?
Yes.
Hey, Kathy, it's Denise. You have questions in the group chat.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You have some questions about all of this in the group chat.
Yeah, you may not know how to get to chat. There's a question on the impact of the retrogrades on COVID-19.
Are you asking me this question?
There's someone in the chat posted the question by writing instead of talking. So in general, it's much easier if people unmute themselves and talk rather than going to chat, because Kathy's not going to look at the chat.
Okay, so somebody asked the question. What was the question, Bob?
What is the impact of the retrograde on COVID-19?
Okay, well, number one, we haven't witnessed something like this in our lifetime. So, as an astrologer, one of the reasons that I don't follow the news or follow the politics is because I don't want what I know to get in the way of things, So we're now talking about something that, that we know. And the pitch is too big for, I can think that I have the answer, but it's just too broad, because this is a world thing that is going on. And so we have to look at a planet. Okay, you've just made me think of something now. All right. So Pluto takes 266 years, and it's going through the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn is, Capricorn, can get very paranoid over things. Pluto rules the 8th house, which is death and regeneration. So facing fears and going through deaths and things like that, you could put that together, with this. But it doesn't answer anything. It just gives some kind of explanation to it. Also, Neptune is going through its own sign. Now, that hasn't done it in 144 years. And Neptune is illusion or illumination. And so going through its own sign, you're going to witness both of these things. We had the gold rush 144 years ago, and we had the Civil War. We had two separate things going on at the same time. But in my estimation, on the personal level, what you're going to attract is what you're going to focus on. So if you focus on, I am a miracle maker, or the illusion of loss and problems and that, then you're going to attract more of it. I mean, it's not about ignoring that it's there. It's about focusing. People that just keep watching the same negative stuff over and over again, you're just putting that into your consciousness, and then you want a planetary aspect to take it all away. But it doesn't work like that. So we are going through a time period with the Pluto and with the Neptune of, well, in a nutshell, taking our power back. But if you keep it outside of yourself, and if you go into the blame, even blaming a planet, right? You lessen your own individual power, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to give away, with your power. Ask and it shall be given. Oh, it can't be that easy, but it can be that easy, okay? That's why you've heard me say time and time again. In fact, I have 2 of my grandchildren staying with me this weekend, and both of them remember, they still, do it. I taught them EFT since they were little. And the things that they pull off are phenomenal, because Nona said it works. And they do the tapping and it works, okay? What you conditioned. Now, we've got all this conditioning from our past, but we always have the opportunity to change it. Right now, under this full moon, this eclipse that we're having right now, if we take nothing else out of this chart but one thing, Uranus, the great awakener, the planet of change and freedom, okay, in the beneficial aspect to Mercury, expanding our mind beyond the possibilities where we've had it before. So if nothing else, take that, run with it, and, do a lot of positive thinking through these eclipses, and we will weather it very well. Okay? All right, I think that's it. It's 8:30, so I love you all, and this has been recorded, so hopefully it will help you stay positive, tune in to the best, and understand that, the only person we have 100% control over is ourselves. We choose how to think, how to feel, how to act, what to believe. And, there's been times when my sons have said, Ma, sometimes you should be more practical. And I said, really? I wonder how I pulled off all the stuff I've pulled off in my life if I wasn't practical, But you have to have that level. And I've been blessed that I never lost that little child within. And that's what you want to keep, that child that can believe. Time to nurture it. Okay? So good night, God bless, and let's become miracle makers out there.